Um,
This One's Wife. The grief ghoul strikes again. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. An article in the Independent newspaper, and it is carried elsewhere, provides us with two interesting insights about the narcissism of this one's wife. The article by Brittany Miller explains one of this one's wife's friends has praised her relationship with the Duchess of Sussex. Kelly McKee-Zaffan, a former model who also co-founded the non-profit Alliance of Mums, was in the middle of a question and answer session on Sunday with her Instagram followers when she was asked about her friendship with this one's wife. Pausing there. We know that just recently a cabal of former friends of this one's wife have been touted as potentially getting ready to dish the dirt on her. These former friends have been touted as potentially getting ready to open the closets and allow the skeletons to come out. This is something that the press has been pushing in relation to the fact that these individuals, who are non-intimate secondary sources in the fuel matrix of this one's wife, have been disengaged from. Or, in other words, former friends who've been used and dumped. The individuals concerned, who've known her for quite some time, are in a position to provide considerable insight into her behaviour to demonstrate what an unpleasant person she is. And naturally, that is hugely problematic for this one's wife because the disclosures of themselves threaten her need for control, it damages her facade, and because she's infamous, plenty of people will be interested to learn what these former friends have got to say about her, leading to amplification of the allegations. Thus, unsurprisingly, what then happens? One of this one's wife's friends, actually a non-intimate secondary source, just happens to be speaking out about this one's wife, but in a positive way. Oh, isn't it so funny that someone happens to ask her about her friendship with this one's wife in the middle of her question and answer session, which is then taken up by mainstream media? Well, what did Kelly McKee-Zaffan have to say? She quickly gushed over the Duchess. Really? Oh, I see. Not literally. Calling her one of her favourite people. I've actually known her for almost 20 years, she wrote in response to the question. She even came to my wedding 15 years ago. And she's been the most amazing, nurturing, fun, loving human. She has, of course, spoken out about her friendship with this one's wife previously. In October last year, they posed together at the Children's Hospital Los Angeles 2024 Gala. Zaffan posted the photo on Instagram as she applauded this one's wife's work with the hospital and its doctors before opening up about their relationship. I was also beyond grateful to share in this beautiful evening with one of my closest friends. This one's wife, your commitment to supporting Children's Hospital Los Angeles and community is truly inspiring. I'm so grateful to have you by my side, she wrote. Well, at least she is consistent in her brown nosing of this one's wife. But it isn't a surprise to find that when a cabal of chums are being lined up to suggest that they're going to spill the dirt on this one's wife, that another one, who is still regarded favourably, is tasked with gushing about this one's wife. This is the typical nullification of control through a proxy individual utilised by the narcissist. The potential disclosures and the coverage of the same is a threat to control for this one's wife, and therefore it's organised for Kelly McKee-Zaffan to speak out favourably for her in order to try and nullify the threat to control posed by the disloyal friends. In other words, it's another clapback by this one's wife, something that we have a significant familiarity with. But it doesn't end there. I mentioned that there were two aspects to this coverage which are interesting in relation to this one's wife's narcissism. And the second is as a consequence of what Zafan says concerning her child. Zafan states, she, this one's wife, has been by my side, especially since Georgie died, and I cherish our friendship very much. If you're not familiar, Georgie is Zafan and her husband Julian's son, who died in 2022, aged 9, after having COVID-19 and viral meningitis. Both this one's wife and Harry supported Zafan by donating $5,000 to a GoFundMe page set up in Georgie's honour. This act of the donation, but moreover, the fact that she has been by my side, especially since Georgie died, demonstrates the grief ghoul that is this one's wife. The two most prominent examples of this one's wife being the tragedy tourist, the grief ghoul, related to her attendance at Uvalde, after the massacre there of the children, see parts passim, and earlier this year with her attendance at the LA wildfires, again see parts passim. You're pretty familiar with that. Here, it's in a more individual capacity. Remember, this one's wife is categorized as a middle mid-range type A narcissist. These are known as the overwhelming angels. They are narcissists who think that they're really good people, who think that they engage in really good acts because they're full of empathy, when in actual fact, what they don't realize, because they're unaware narcissists, is that their behavior is entirely self-serving, utilizing fake kindness to control and to draw fuel and to access character traits and residual benefits. Furthermore, the middle range type A narcissist will often behave in an unpleasant and devaluing behavior behind closed doors, which we've heard of many times in relation to this one's wife, for instance, with regard to the bullying allegations. It is typical of a middle range type A narcissist that where they get the sniff of tragedy, that they will turn up with their supposed support for the person or persons affected. But all they are doing is leveraging that person's tragedy to make themselves look good. They don't think in such terms because the narcissism doesn't allow them to do so. But because we know that that person is a narcissist and that they are middle range type A, this means they can't be doing it because they actually care, because we know they have no emotional empathy. We know that the narcissist only does things that benefit themselves vis-a-vis the prime aims. Ergo, this one's wife being by the side of Kelly Zafan is not about her genuinely caring about her friend, although she thinks it is. It's about her milking her friend's tragedy in order to make her seem like she's a good person so she can control Zafan as a non-intimate secondary source, that she can receive fuel by way of Zafan's thanks, and also to utilize that in a wider way to demonstrate to the world, see, I am a good person. I've been supportive of my friend when she lost her son 3 years ago. So go fuck you, haters. It is actually sinister and unpleasant that the way, like some kind of leech, she utilizes the misery and tragedy of other people in order to make herself look good. I have a relative, we call her the Death Watch Beetle, because when anybody in the family dies, she is the first to announce it. It's almost as if she has this supernatural ability to know that somebody is knocking at death's door, so that she then becomes the first to at least know about it, or more accurately, the first to air it amongst family channels. And thus she's gained the name Death Watch Beetle. She revels in being the bearer of that bad news because it gives her a sense of importance and people react to her. By appointing herself as the messenger of death, it means that she comes with these messages whereby she tells you that Uncle Albert has popped his clogs, causing people to go, oh no, thank you for telling me. And then she will gush with false compassion about this person. This relative of mine is a narcissist and behaves in that middle range type A way that this one's wife does, whereby if there is a sniff of misery or tragedy, zing, she's in there, milking it for all it's worth. And this is the situation with this one's wife. This article demonstrates the grief ghoul is at it again, whereby she utilizes the tragedy, a death of somebody's child, to show fake compassion, fake support for Kelly Zaffin, who is fooled and doesn't realize that her friend is a narcissist, and then benefits from that by having it aired on Instagram by Zaffin and picked up more widely by legacy media to tell everybody, oh, she's such a kind person, she's been by my side, especially since Georgie died. Those three words, especially since, or four words rather, especially since Georgie died, are so telling in relation to this one's wife. She was a friend, but once Zaffin had lost her son, that was all this one's wife needed to ensure that she rolled out her supposed empathic credentials. Those who don't understand that she's a narcissist will just regard this as a cynical takedown of her, considering that she is a kind person who's supporting her grieving friend and still impacted, as you would expect, by the death of her 9-year-old child. But those of us that know that this one's wife is a narcissist know that she's simply that grief ghoul, that as soon as there is a sniff of tragedy, she is there to milk it for all it's worth vis-a-vis the prime aims. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.